Hello, my name is Hakon and welcome back all you Zoyans to another little video on the Empress Effects Zoya, the absolutely amazing patchable digital synthesizer, MIDI control device, effects pedal in a nice little box. Now, as you might have noticed if you have watched my previous videos on the Zoya, you know that I got in trouble with my shift button and I had to jig something with my Zoya and install a new button on the side. Now, if you get into the same kind of predicament with yours, if you have an older Zoya, what you can do is contact Empress Effects and they will send you a replacement touchpad. And the new one that they send you is also most likely the new version, which will last much longer and be more comfortable to use. So I've got one here that I've got from Empress Effects that I will install on my Zoya today. So let's have a little look, see what it looks like. And here we have, and it says do not cut, replace the whole keypad. Of course I will have to do some cutting because of my particular shift button, but if I hadn't replaced my shift button with the proper physical micro switch button on the side here, I would not have had to cut. I will need to do a little bit of a cut next to this, probably. I will see that when I get to it. And as you can see here, on this side you can see there's a black square around there. And that looks like it's a lot thicker and deeper than it is on the old one. So I believe that you don't actually have to push so hard on this one to get a good contact. It looks like it's actually a little bit wider as well than the original. So let's have a little look inside and see if I can replace this. There's nothing else in the envelope, so I can throw that away now. There's also one more thing I need, which I haven't brought out. And that is, of course, an adjustable wrench. So, right, so how do we start when we open the Zoya? We start at the back. We've got 4 screws. If you have a new one, the screws are actually quite tight. So you need a good screwdriver and a good Phillips screwdriver, and make sure that you use the right bit if you're using a bit screwdriver, especially the first time you do it. Of course, once you've done this, you don't have to tighten them so much. But the new ones from the factory, or certainly mine, was very, very tight when I got it. So let's just remove those 4 screws there. It's quite a nice case the Zoya comes in. I quite like it. Although sometimes I have actually toyed with the idea of making my own front panel on it, because there's one thing that actually bothers me a little bit about the Zoya, and that is the weak and small print of the letters on the keys, which means that the only way I can see the letters is to put on a bright light. And when I'm using the Zoya, I like not having a bright light so that I can see the panel properly and the lights properly. So I have been toying with the idea of making my own front panel and making the letters bigger and whiter as well. So I might do that. This is actually, I think, if I'm not very much mistaken, about the same size as, roughly as a standard photo paper. So I should be able to print this on a photo paper on my printer and a new front. I'll have a look at that someday, and I will make a video about it if I do that. So there we are. Back is off. nice aluminium. Now, the next bit, we need to remove all these. Actually, I may as well remove the front things first. So for the encoder, we need quite a small hex key. I'm not sure exactly the dimensions, but I believe that this is actually listed in the manual somewhere as what dimensions you need. I may just write it down in the description. It comes off like this. And then we need the wrench. Or if you have of course, other hex tools that you can use to loosen. Let's put that there. These ones. And one thing I did last time I had this open, I reset my stump switches a little bit deeper in the case, so actually they're almost at the maximum depth they can be, because I don't use it as a stump box, and so I actually quite like having them a little bit lower down. In fact, I would have actually liked to replace them with something like this instead of these switches here, and I may yet do that someday. Yeah, those off. And now we have to remove the ones at the back as well, so we can take the PCB out. I should remove the SD card as well. If it sticks out in a way, that means that it will be a little bit in the way. Another thing I've actually had an idea for is to create an on-off switch at the back here, so I may do that one day as well. I mean, once I've started tampering with the insides of the Zoya by adding the new switch on the side, I might as well just do a little bit more one day. Now, there's one thing I will need to get before next time I do anything serious on the Zoya, especially with adjusting holes in the case, and that is probably to get something like a Dremel tool, because at the moment the only tools I have for creating holes in aluminium are a drill that goes up to about, I don't have any drill bits bigger than about 10 millimeters, and then I have files. So when I was doing my switch on the side here, I had to make a 10 millimeter hole, and I had to file the rest up to about 16 millimeter, and that is a lot of work. So let's see, this is actually would have been easier if I'd tilted it the other way, because now it's trying to come out while I'm doing this. I'll do like that, and then the top PCB now just basically folds out by itself, pretty much like so. And there we can see the very nice connectors on this one, and we got my new switch here. Now the cable connecting these two PCBs, when I was given the instructions for replacing the pad, the grid, I was told there was supposed to be some kind of small things you could push to loosen this, and I don't seem to, it doesn't look like I have anything on mine. I think it may be possible to pull out. Oh, there it is, actually. Aha, okay. So yeah, I'm not sure if you can see that on on my video now, but the sort of top bit of this can actually be lifted a little bit, and that loosens the cable like so. And then you push it back in and push down that little bit that goes up. I didn't notice that when I did this before, and it is actually possible to get this cable in and out without doing it, but it will be easier if you loosen the top of it first. I'll just put this aside now. Now for this we need, if I got the right one, this looks a bit big. That looks a bit big, yeah. I need to get a different hex key there. Is this the right one? I think it may be. Yes. Okay, so that, I'm not sure about the dimensions of that, but that's a little bit bigger than the other one. And I will list the dimensions in the instructions, and not in the instructions, in the description is what I was after. That's the word I was looking for. I don't know if I need to move the... I'll try to do this without removing the shift button now. Well, I suppose I might as well move that out of the way, just in case. So I'll just going to do that now. So let's see. Actually, so if I do like this, okay. I'm not sure if that was needed, just to get it a little bit out of the way. And then I just need to loosen these. Let's see, I am in the shot now. Yeah, there we go. So there's these bolts, little small tiny hex bolts. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe. And I didn't over tighten them last time I did this. So it should be quite easy to loosen. Let's see if I can pick that up. Oh, that's not magnetic. Usually it would have been. I just have to do like so. Make sure this is in shot now. So this is quite an easy job, really. I just have to be a little bit careful, take one's time. And if you are prone to catching static electricity, it's a good idea trying to discharge that on something that is connected to ground just before you start doing this, just in case. Things you may do if you have a desktop computer, if you touch the bare aluminium at the back of the casing that is connected to ground, for instance. Another way to do it is to touch any piece of metal on your sink. The sink has to be legally requirement is to have it connected to ground as well. Let's see. Let's lift this whole thing up now, like so. Now, because of the shift button here, I can't move it too much out of the way. So I'll just put it over here. Oops. I'll just take these bolts and move them over here. The one that is next to the screen is a little bit longer than the other ones. There's one there. Right. So let's have a little look here and compare the old with the new now. So this feels quite solid. So let's just take this out and have a look. So I don't know if you can see this really well. It's a slightly different color in the new ones. The old ones have a very sort of clear, thinner section in the middle. These ones don't seem to have that. At the back here, you can see the connection pad. The black bit is a lot bigger on the new one. It's wider, it's deeper, and it will create a better connection, I think. So that looks like a huge improvement actually in design. I'm just going to put all this down here now, see how that feels. Now there is a chance, of course, I will have to cut into it here now because of my new connection, but then again, maybe not. So I should try without cutting into it first and see if that works. May or may not. So let's just go and do like so. And then move these stump switches into position. There we are. I think there was the one on the left here could still be adjusted a little bit. So to adjust the depth of these switches, you use the inside nut like so. I'll just move that a little bit more. So it goes a little bit deeper than it was before. The other ones are okay. So there we are. It feels quite nice actually. I'll just put these things back in place now. Let's see if I start with the... Now, of course, I may have to open it up again now if the... depending on how the connection is. Let's see, let's push that down a bit. But hopefully I won't have to. It looks like the new connection pads underneath the keys is a little bit higher up when you don't push them. Which means I might be able to get by without cutting it to accommodate my new shift button connection. And it also occurs to me now, I didn't actually show you that properly, but oh, okay. This would have been nice if these bolts actually, it's sort of stuck behind there now. Okay. I lost one of my bolts. Let's see if I move it over that side, it should come out more easily. There we are. Now I may truncate this a little bit so you don't have to spend your time watching the entire process, or I may not. Last time I did this, the bolts actually managed to hold in place much better in the hex key than they do now. Let's see, I'll do this like so. Now, when I was doing my videos on the new shift button, I was talking about maybe making room for a bigger one. And as you can see, this is a 16mm hole now. And I was hoping to be able to make room for a 22mm one. There may be room for it, but I'm still not 100% sure because of the way there's more space on this side, but on the other side, because of this pin header here, actually gets a little bit in the way. But then again, it's also not really used for anything, so I'm not sure if I could shorten it a little bit by actually cutting down the pins just a tiny bit. So I'm considering that if I need to. And then again, there is a little bit of space between the pin header and the side, so there might be enough space to actually get a bigger button in, because most of the width is needed very close to the side of the casing. Not so much a few centimeter or so, or it's about 15mm from the side where the pin header starts. So I'm considering that. Now, the reason there's a pin header there, I'm not sure, but I think that is maybe because this is a generic control board, I believe. Looks like it is. Maybe that is the reason why there's a pin header there that isn't used. Because this is the Blackthorn, sorry, board. And then, of course, this is the specific Zoya board down here. Oh, was that all? Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, I've got all the bolts in place. Now I have to get these stump switches back in place. And I don't have to. Let's see how it feels now. So that feels like it would work quite well. Now the only thing is, hopefully there won't be the shift button won't connect without. So the thing is, if this connects without being pushed, then I'll be in trouble, because then I can't use switch or use shift. So that's the only thing. Otherwise, it doesn't seem to interfere with the page up or down buttons, which is the reason why I had to cut into the silicone pad last time when I did the mod. So this might work, but I'll see. If that creates a short, I will have to open the whole thing up again and cut into it and do a little bit of jiggery pokery with it. So let's see, where is the oh, I've almost lost the, let's see, let's get the nut for the shift button back. And this is a really good quality shift button. Now the button here is an arcade button that is intended to be used in arcade machines as a service button. So you can imagine not a button that's used for the actual control of a game, but you can imagine one that's used to access the system, for instance. And it is meant to be tamper-proof. It also is technically waterproof as well, because it comes with a rubber gasket that you can install on it to create a waterproof seal. I don't need that on the Zoya, but it is a possibility. And it did occur to me the other day, actually, just when I was out in town walking, that some of this button here actually is very similar to the ones they use when they replace the original push buttons at pedestrian crossings, when you have to push a button to get the go signal, the walk signal. So that's just a bigger version of this kind of button. Of course, I only would need the rubber gasket to make it waterproof, and Let's see now. So, and of course it needs to be tamper-proof as well. Let's put these back in place like so. And now, of course, you might see that this switch on the left there is a little bit deeper than it was before. So now they are almost at the maximum depth they can be. So they stick out as little as possible, which was my idea there. So I'll just do like so, just tighten them a little bit. Don't need to be super tight, these ones. So. And then let's connect the top board. So it goes in like this. So then so I'll do it the other way around. So we have the cable from, let's get that back in there. Doesn't feel quite right there. Let's see, make sure it's nice and straight. Okay, that seems like it's in place. I can't really show this too well now because of the angle. So it's in there, and then I push this back down again. It should stick in place. And then I'll just get these plugs back in there. And then, so we got these ones. There's two bigger ones and there's three smaller ones, and there are two bigger nuts as well. Let's get them all in place like so. Usually it's easy to do them by hand, just to the point where you just need to tighten them a tiny bit with the wrench afterwards. They don't need to be super tight, of course. Oh, this one is a bit wonky now. I'll just need to use the wrench a bit more there. Okay. And I see that I'm using my camera's video now, which means it is restricted to half an hour, which means I have to restart it in a few seconds. I'll just put this down just a tiny bit. Let's see. Just tighten these. It's tight. It's tight. And again, they don't need to be super tight, they just need to not be loose. And of course, in use, they will not really loosen so much. Then it is the all-important encoder. Let's put this back in place here. Now, one thing that can go wrong when you take this apart is that the glass of the screen can actually fall off. It's only stuck in place with some kind of self-adhesive material, I think. So, but it's not very hard to put it back on again. You just make sure it's in the right place and it sort of just stays in place by itself. But just be aware that could happen. It has happened to me before. And then this one is, what I try to do is make the worm screw inside here line up with the flat part of the whatever they call that thing, and then I just tighten it like so. It doesn't have to be very tight either, but you don't want this folding off while you're working with it. So just make that a little bit tighter, just a tiny bit. Let's see if I can find the right. Yeah, that's good enough. That will stay on. And then I'll just put on the bottom. And this is the right way, like so. Of course, the direction doesn't really matter, but because I was doing my shift button, I made a little hole down here at some point. So I now have a bottom of a case that is directional. So I can see which end is up or down. I'll just tighten these, but not too tight. Because the casing is aluminium, you don't usually need washers to keep the screw in place, because aluminium is so soft that you can tighten the screw and it will generally stay in place, like so. And this feels quite different actually to the other one. It feels like you're not pushing as far, which I don't think you are, because the connection squares behind it are actually a little bit different. Let's put the card back in. And now the moment of truth. Is this working? So I'll get my power cable out and let's see what happens. I'll get my light off because now just keep that on because otherwise the white balance goes haywire. Okay, so does shift work is a big question. So let's find out. Let's do push a module there and inspect, and actually shift works now. So I can use shift on the keypad here or on the side, it looks like. Oh, hang on. Moved away from the. So shift. Oh, actually my external shift button has suddenly stopped working now. That is a bit weird, isn't it? But the onboard switch button is now working. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but whatever the case is, with the new pad, this shift button now works the way it's supposed to, and my new one is out of commission for the moment. I will have to open it up and have a look again if I want this to work, but I can use this one again, and I suppose that is fine too. So that seems to work fine. I can save and copy, and it works. So at the moment, I'm happy it works the way it's supposed to, even though my new shift button suddenly doesn't. After all my hard work doing it. Such a nice button too. I actually quite like the aesthetic of having it there. So to be honest, I don't actually mind that now this has to be my shift button again. The keypad is much better, I think, than the old one. It feels a little bit more rigid, a little bit more solid, feels more durable, to be honest. So that is quite cool. So let's switch the light off there so I can see this. So yeah, shift, inspect. Nice. Okay, so I may, if this keeps working fine, and this one doesn't work fine, yeah, I'll keep it like that. If I get in trouble with the shift button because the travel is now shorter than it would be for the other buttons because of the soldered wires, I will have to go and remove the wires, but it seems to work fine. So I'll keep it like that. So there we are. So that's what I was showing you today. It seems to work fine. That's how you replace the keypad if you get a new one from Empress Effects. And if any of your keys stop working the way they're supposed to, usually it's the Shift key first of all, and then maybe the back and forward page keys. The new one is much better, and the old one is certainly worth replacing if you need that. So there we are. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I hope I will be back soon with more. It has been a few days, weeks even now since last time I did a tutorial on the Zoya. I will be back. I have some ideas that I have worked on, at least on paper. I haven't done any patching actually because I've been busy doing some other things over the last few weeks. So I will be back soon with more patching on the Zoya, more new patches, and now with a new keypad that works fine. So thanks for watching, and I'll please like, share, comment, subscribe, join me on Patreon, all those things if you are interested in the kind of content that I create on YouTube. And also you can find me on Patch Storage if you want to look at my other patches, but of course they're all linked in the relevant videos. So usually when I make a video with a tutorial, I also have a companion patch, unless it is really simple to patch up yourself and the tutorial is really how to do it. And so I do have a patch storage account, and I do put my patches there, and as of now I don't have any plans of making any of my patches paid for or exclusive to Patreons or to patrons on Patreon. But I may do that someday if I make some kind of premium patches or premium patch packages. But for now, I really quite like sharing whatever I do on the Zoya, and I hope that you enjoy that too. So, and if I do decide to create an on-off switch here, which shouldn't be too hard to do, I will make a tutorial about that as well. And yeah, shame about the shift button. I quite was growing to like the new one, but well, I've got a functioning shift button. I'm not going to complain. Thanks for watching, and goodbye for now. Bye bye.